Hey friends, welcome back to your Wednesday. What day is it? Oh, Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Welcome back to your Wednesday edition of Hot News. Big thanks to everybody who supported us on the video that I released on our second channel, which we're actually going to be rebranding shortly. It's currently called Hot News, but we're going to be transitioning into something else because all of the hot news is here on UFD Tech. Anyways, thank you for everybody who supported us, who tweeted at YouTube. It means a lot. They did repeal the community guidelines strike, but I haven't been in communication with anybody, which just means that it could possibly happen again, and we could be back in the same situation as we always have been, with no clue as how to go forward. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you can check out our video right up there, and you can check out today's video sponsor.
Today's video is sponsored by Grammarly.
In case you haven't heard of them before, Grammarly is a digital writing assistant that allows you to connect with others by making sure that the words that you're writing are clear and the most effective that they can be. In fact, they've helped over 20 million people connect with the people that they're trying to communicate with. And it works seamlessly across a whole host of different devices and platforms, including the online browser extension. You've got a desktop editor, a mobile keyboard app. Reece uses it on his Mac. It's an easy platform that can be used basically anywhere and allows you to make sure that you are having the most efficient and effective conversation that you could possibly have with others. And Grammarly has two different versions that you can check out. There's the Grammarly free version, which reviews critical spelling and grammar mistakes, but then there's also Grammarly Premium that includes advanced checks such as clarity, conciseness, vocabulary, and formality suggestions that make sure that your words are what they need to be as they're going out, not just saying what everybody else says, but it'll help reinvent your linguistics so that you're communicating in the most efficient manner that you possibly can. As Reece puts it, he uses Grammarly so he doesn't use the word dumb. I happen to use Grammarly so that I don't go on tangents, and also I don't constantly repeat myself, because that's one of the things that I've noticed about the way I write. It's just the same words over and over again, and Grammarly helps to make sure that I'm changing up my vocabulary and coming across more impactfully. So you can check out Grammarly at the link in the video description. You can use it to get a free account and get 20% off of a premium subscription. That's grammarly.com/UFDTech. Again, you can sign up for Grammarly for free and get 20% off of their premium accounts. Check them out down below. And let's get into the news, which is, you know, not something I wanted to be reporting on, but like, I guess just kind of makes sense because it is absolutely the most console thing that Microsoft could have done. And that is, we now have more information regarding the Xbox Series S. There was an internal document from Microsoft confirming that Lockhart indeed does exist and should be launching sometime around the Series X. However, there's so much disappointingness about this. It's just so much just screams, yeah, that makes sense. While the Xbox Series X is a pinnacle, grade A level flagship, 12 teraflop GPU with ray tracing, the Series S is apparently going to be up to the devs whether or not to focus on 1080p 60 or 1440p 30. You're hearing me correctly. 1080 60 for a next gen console, which is currently what their current gen consoles focus on. I don't understand. Well, we could just go through the specs. Number one, it does appear that the Series S is going to have a similar CPU as the Series X, not underclocked. This is likely so that they can throw it in the face of the PS5 being like, haha, our CPU clock's higher than your CPU, which means we can do more CPU tasks even if our GPU isn't quite as strong. And in case you want to know just how strong that GPU is going to be, well, apparently they're aiming for 4 teraflops. They're aiming for 4 teraflops on the next gen GPU performance, a third of the Series X, which makes sense why they'd have to focus for 1080p 60 or for 1440p 30, because that is what 4 teraflops would get you. How is this a next gen console? This seems like a massive step down. Obviously, the One X is 6 teraflops, so it'd be just under that, but oh man. This seems like a massive disappointment, and there's new sources coming out where Eurogamer is believing that Microsoft is going to have an event in August to unveil this console, which could also mean that it still does launch in time for holiday 2020, maybe not. I think the only good news that I've heard out about this is that while, yes, 1080p 60 seems so, I guess, like 2014, about this console. I've heard rumors and rumblings, no official news report or any major outlet reporting on this. Number one, that it would be a digital console, so everything would be online, and it would have the same SSD as the Series X, so still that 1 terabyte PCI Express 4.0, and that it would only cost $200, which I take that for whatever grain of salt you want to take that with. $200 for a 4 teraflop console actually doesn't sound too bad, especially if it still does indeed have ray tracing, which is the claim of others. Lockhart CPU is supposed to be faster than the PS5. The Lockhart will support ray tracing, and that it won't be a big deal for games because game developers have been developing for multiple GPUs for decades. And multiple GPUs, not like multiple GPUs in the single system, but more in the Series S and Series X would be different. But I don't know. What do you think about the Series S targeting 1080p60? It seems a little dumb to me personally. I don't know. I think we could have gotten more. What is Microsoft doing? I don't know. Well, we now have some reports about the performance of the PS5 and the Series X. Keyoken talking about the difference between the PC and the upcoming consoles and whether or not they'd be updating Deliver Us the Moon in order to support that. And they just basically said, not really, because these things perform like an RTX 2070 Super, which isn't much different. So if you have an RTX 2070 Super, congratulations. You're mostly on your way to having a next-gen console. Part of the change, however, would be the fact that you don't have an SSD that's as fast as the PS5, because those just aren't out on the market yet, but you might by the time it happens. The only little wrinkle in the celebration of a 2070 Super is that the 2070 Super is a $500 GPU at this point, and that doesn't include the rest of the system, like a 3700X CPU, which the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X would have, as well as the RAM and all of that. So it's kind of intriguing how these companies are going to get the prices down. But regardless, the 2070 Super will be able to run Unreal Engine 5, apparently no problem, because Epic Games coming out and saying that the Unreal Engine 5 demo that they debuted on the PlayStation 5, at least with regards to the amount of time that was spent rendering geometry, was no more than playing Fortnite. So it actually won't be too taxing on the GPU to experience a lot of the goodness that Unreal Engine 5 will have to offer, at least with regards to the geometry. So in case your 2070 Super can run Fortnite, then you're good. But while we're talking about SSDs that might be fast in PS5, one of the first ones that's going to be pretty dang fast, the 980 Pro, has gotten through regulations over in Korea, with them showing off that there's going to be 3 different varieties: a 250 gig, a 500 gig, and a 1 terabyte model. The reason that the capacity actually seems so low is apparently due to the idea that Samsung will be sticking with MLC and not going down to 3D NAND TLC. So the MLC combined with the internal controller that Samsung seems to be developing should make these some of the best drives that are out on the market. Still no release date, although is it expected to launch in October, and there's no release date or announcement really of the Renoir APUs. The 4700G just hasn't really been talked about by AMD, even though we're expecting them to launch in just about a week on the 7th. Well, the 4700GE has indeed been benchmarked, as you see here. Somebody got an engineering sample on one of them, and it turns out that the latency on these chips is actually pretty good, being about 49 nanoseconds, or even dropping down to 47.6 nanoseconds when it's overclocked, compared to the Ryzen 9 3900, which has 60 to 70 nanoseconds of latency. And this is because it's on a single die, because the other die is dedicated to the GPU, which could mean that there's better gaming performance on the 4700G when you put a dedicated graphics card on it, which will be nice. And it would have been nice for Nintendo to fix the Joy-Con issues that have plagued so many Switch owners, because it just drifts. The Joy-Con drifts. Well, at the very least, we've got an apology by Nintendo's president, or rather, kind of an apology, saying that we apologize for any inconvenience caused to our customers regarding Joy-Con. Not mentioning the drift, we will do our best to ensure that our customers can use our service and products with peace of mind. That's it. He's sorry. No word on whether or not they're fixing it. No word on whether or not Joy-Con drift is going to get any better. Just, he's sorry. Fantastic. Good job, Nintendo. And Good job, Discord, on reaching out to the masses with a new blog post update that was released yesterday. Your Place to Talk by Jason and Stan. Discord announcing that they are going to shift away from gaming branding and more towards just being a platform where people can communicate, just going to be a general come together. They're going to be removing some of the gaming memes and jokes that are on there to be more accessible, which I don't necessarily understand that one. I guess it would be off-putting to non-gamers. I don't know. What do you think of Discord expanding out to be a more non-gaming platform? Keen to hear from you down below in the comments. And I'm keen to hear from you guys whether or not you tried out Amazon's game Crucible, which turns out not many people did. I know that I didn't even care to look at it, and we reported in a previous episode of Hot News that Amazon removed 2 of the 3 game modes just because nobody was really playing them. Well, it's gotten even worse with Amazon now announcing that they are returning to closed beta. They launched this game and they are putting it back in beta because nobody's playing with it. Apparently, they're just gonna use that time to work over how to make the game modes better. But I mean, honestly, as far as I could see, it just seemed like another generic game. And I just don't think putting it in beta is going to rework the fundamental aspect of the fact that it's just a boring addition to everybody's life. There's nothing here that's exciting. I haven't heard much that made it seem like it's a bad game, just that why would I play this when I have so many other options? There's nothing defining about it. Maybe they can get something while they're in closed beta as of today, because that's when it's happening, July 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern. They are going back into closed beta, but like, they'd have to release an entirely new, exciting game in order to make that happen. And Fortnite finally getting released as a real game because Epic Games has finally dropped the early access label for a game that's made billions of dollars. They now are no longer in early access. Why? What? How is this news in 2020 that Fortnite is no longer early access? I don't understand. But I do understand my love for cameras, especially new cameras, especially Sony cameras. I'm actually filming this on a Sony camera, the Sony RX100 Mark VII. Well, Sony is going to be releasing an all-new A7S this summer. This is coming out officially from a Sony executive, the VP, saying that the A7S III should be coming out soon. It's going to be appearing later this summer. No exact specs, but while the S designation used to be there for sensitivity, it is now going to stand for Supreme, which, supremely expensive is what I'm expecting. I don't think I'll be able to afford one, but I'm absolutely excited to see this. And even if it's just from like a window shopping perspective, which is how I'm shopping for the Ford Mustang Mach-E. But a lot of people placed a deposit for them. Well, Ford announcing that they are now available for order in case you actually want to get yourself a Mach-E. You can do such a thing at this point. And in case you like Android Wear for whatever gosh dang reason, you can now apparently get new Android Wear devices with faster chipsets. Oh my gosh, Qualcomm, how long has this taken? The 3100, which is what Android Wear has been on, has been horrific. It was just like, it's just as bad as Intel being on 14 nanometers. It was so bad. Okay, so the Snapdragon 4100 and 4100 Plus are going to be based on a 12 nanometer architecture, whereas the 3100, which was just a refresh of the 2100, was on 28 nanometers. What? In 2020. They were shipping Android Wear devices on 28 nanometers. Apple's going to be on 5 nanometers this year. What the heck are you doing? Anyways, not only is the node shrink going to allow for faster performance, it's obviously going to allow for better battery life, which is going to be great. We'll see. I mean, there's several features that they're stating that they're going to be able to get, including 64K coloring on the images, and then number kerning, steps and heart rate, battery indicator, alarms, reminders, and haptics. Kind of seems to be things that, you know, Apple's had for years. Oh man, Android Wear has been so far behind, and it's actually been mostly Qualcomm's fault. So it's good to see this, but oh man, we should have been here. There's going to be another always on co-processor, and it's going to allow for a richer ambient mode on these, but I'll believe that Android Wear devices are better when I see it. And I'll believe that Stadia is good when I see it, but they're finally rolling out features that they said that they were going to have at launch, which is the assistant button, which in case you can't see, there's a dedicated assistant button on that Stadia controller. Guess what? That used to do nothing. They shipped the controller with buttons that were useless and non-remappable. It was horrible. Anyways, the assistant function is going to start working on TVs. Not mobile or desktop. It's going to start working on TVs, and it's not going to do the feature that Google said it was going to do, which is like pull up game stats and like pause a game and know so much information about what's going on, kind of like their smart assistant technology that they have in like Google Play Movies, where it can pull up like an actor's thing. Or am I thinking of Amazon Prime's X-ray feature? I'm not sure. I'll get back to you on that. No, I won't. I'm not going to even look into it because it's so ridiculous. Anyways, they promised that the assistant was going to do all this stuff. It just does normal assistant stuff, nothing related to the games. No, why would our game service have any game features? Why would that make any sense? I don't know. Well, Amazon, just to talk about them for a second, rolled out a feature to Twitch where you could have Twitch watch parties with people who had Amazon Prime accounts and watch Amazon Prime videos together. Well, now Amazon is expanding that feature to just regular Amazon Prime members. You don't necessarily have to be on Twitch to do that any longer, and you can now invite up to 100 people to watch together for a watch party. This makes a lot of sense to roll out during socially distant times. There is a third-party extension that allows you to do this with Netflix, but it's not native in Netflix. Maybe Netflix will now get the push to do that themselves, but Amazon Prime rolling that out, and Comcast rolling back data caps on their internet. They are going to start introducing data caps back on to their internet, and potentially overage fees and cancellations, because the FCC moratorium on that also ends today on July 1st. That's phenomenal. I think I was saying tomorrow, but it's today, July 1st. So that just means that in case you're with Comcast and you've been enjoying the no data cap life, well, sorry. And it does also seem like ISPs will be bringing that back as well. I'm waiting to hear whether my ISP is going to start charging me for unlimited data again. More than likely they will. They're not any better than Comcast. So even though everything is still going on in the world, ISPs don't have to worry about it anymore. They can get your money, and Disney can get your fear, because they posted some information from Disney Research Studios about their face swapping technology that uses a neural network to replace faces in videos. This is actually not something novel. This is basically a deep fake, but Disney Research Labs putting out a video about high resolution neural face swapping for visual effects. This is, I mean, Henry Cavill definitely needed this in the Justice League with his mustache, and apparently they're going to be able to do this with Disney movies now. Yay. Hopefully in better quality. But deepfakes have been around for a while, and I'm gonna deepfake on out of this episode of Hot News and talk to you again about today's video sponsor.
And don't forget to check out Grammarly down below in the link in the video description to make sure that you are more concise, more effective, more clear with your communication. Click the link down below to get Grammarly free and save 20% off of a premium membership, grammarly.com/UFDtech. Thanks to them for sponsoring.
Anyways, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related hot content and hot news. Get newsed, friend. Come check us out over on Twitch. We do daily Hot News live streams there, twitch.tv/UFToSkipple. Big thanks to all of our Patreon supporters and Float Plane supporters for keeping us afloat during this time. It's meant a lot. So we appreciate you, and goodbye.